Most people look at a $100 trading account and see a dead end. They see limitations, insignificance, a practice ground at best. They think, what can you possibly do with only $100? And in their mind, that $100 is already gone, destined for the market's graveyard. But what if I told you that your starting capital, no matter how small, is far less important than the mindset you bring to the table? What if that $100 isn't a limitation, but the ultimate crucible for forging the exact psychological framework required to build $1 million fortune? Today on Risk Premium, we're not talking about magic strategies or secret indicators. We're talking about the $1 million mindset, the rarely discussed, brutally disciplined way of thinking that allows a tiny seed to blossom into an empire. This isn't about how much you start with, but how you start, and more importantly, who you become in the process. The first and perhaps most crucial aspect of the $1 million mindset is understanding that the journey from $100 to $1 million is not primarily a battle of financial strategies. It is a psychological war of mastering process over outcome. An amateur fixates on the destination, the $1 million, the freedom, the yachts, and the mansions. And this obsession with the end goal often leads to the get-rich-quick trap. This fixation manifests as reckless, oversized bets and revenge trading to make up for a small loss, effectively turning the market into a casino where they are trying to hit a home run with every single swing of the bat. A professional, however, views that $100 account not as a limited resource, but as a high-stakes laboratory designed to perfect their edge, risk management, and emotional regulation. They understand the mathematical truth that a consistent 1% gain on $100 is exactly as valuable in terms of professional skill development as a 1% gain on $100,000. The mechanics of the trade, the discipline of the entry, and the cold execution of the stop loss remain identical. The goal is to prove, repeatedly and without exception, that they can execute their strategy flawlessly and manage risk meticulously regardless of the dollar amount on the screen. This means treating every single dollar with the profound respect it deserves, viewing each successful trade as a single, sturdy brick in a massive architectural structure. Consider a trader who tries to flip $100 into $500 in one day. They are likely over-leveraging and taking on 50% risk. If they lose, they are halfway to zero. Contrast this with the disciplined trader who seeks a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio, risking only $2 to make $6. While the dollar amount seems small, the habit of risking only 2% of the account is exactly what will protect them when they are eventually managing 7 figures. This small account environment actually forces an acute awareness of risk that is often dangerously absent when traders start with too much capital. It fosters habits of capital preservation that are absolutely non-negotiable for long-term wealth. You are essentially demonstrating to yourself that you can make money sustainably even with minimal resources, providing the proof of concept for your edge before you ever attempt to scale. By the time you reach the $1 million mark, you aren't doing anything new. You are simply doing the same disciplined things you did when you only had $100, just with more zeros attached. This brings us to the second cornerstone of the $1 million journey, compounding discipline through small, consistent wins. In a world of get-rich-quick influencers, many traders scoff at small gains, finding them not worth the effort or beneath their ambitions. But the $1 million mindset thrives on these seemingly insignificant victories. Imagine making just 2% on a $100 account. That's a mere $2. On the surface, it isn't exciting. It won't even buy you a cup of coffee in most cities. However, if you have the discipline to consistently net that 2% and allow it to compound, the mathematical trajectory becomes astronomical. If you were to compound 2% daily over 250 trading days, that $100 theoretically transforms into over $14,000. More importantly, each successful 2% gain isn't just a financial deposit. It is a massive deposit into your psychological capital. Every time you hit a target and close the trade, you're reinforcing your confidence, solidifying your belief in your trading plan, and strengthening your emotional resilience against the urge to overtrade. This mindset completely eschews the lottery ticket mentality, the desperate hope for one moonbag trade, in favor of a disciplined, iterative approach. It is about taking an acceptable, calculated risk to achieve manageable gains, deeply understanding that true exponential growth comes from the boring repetition of consistency, not from high-stakes gambling. The small account is the ultimate teacher. It trains you to respect fractions of a percentage. When you are trading a $100 account, a 0.5% slippage or a slightly wide spread matters immensely. Learning to optimize these tiny variables creates a habit of precision that becomes priceless when those same fractions are applied to a 6 or 7-figure balance, where a 1% difference can mean $10,000. By the time you are managing a large portfolio, your muscle memory for seeking quality over quantity is already set. This is where patience ceases to be just a moral virtue and transforms into your most powerful financial tool. You aren't waiting for the market to give you $1 million. You're waiting for your disciplined process to inevitably add up to it. Thirdly, the $1 million mindset cultivates unwavering resilience and a voracious appetite for learning from every inevitable setback. When you are operating with a $100 account, every single loss feels magnified. A $10 hit represents a 10% drawdown, which can be psychologically bruising. It is incredibly easy at this stage to get discouraged, blame the market makers, and quit. However, the trader destined to turn that $100 into $1 million doesn't view a red day as a personal failure, but as critical, high-quality feedback. They understand that losing is an inherent cost of doing business, much like a restaurant pays for electricity, and they recognize that a small account is the safest possible laboratory to learn how to absorb these emotional blows without facing life-altering financial consequences. Instead of closing their laptop in a fit of rage, the resilient trader performs a post-mortem on every losing trade with surgical precision. They ask themselves, was my entry point premature due to FOMO? Did I ignore a clear bearish signal? Was my position size too large for my psychological comfort zone? By meticulously documenting these errors in a trading journal, they use their losses to refine their edge and tighten their rules. They essentially embrace the grind, viewing every blown micro account not as a defeat, but as a tuition payment to the University of the Markets for invaluable, real-world lessons that no textbook can provide. This level of resilience isn't a gift you are born with. It is forged in the fires of small, repeatable challenges. Because the stakes are high enough to be felt, you still don't want to lose the $100, but not so high as to be financially crippling. You're able to develop emotional armor. This mindset embodies the spirit of Kaizen, or continuous improvement, recognizing that every mistake is an opportunity to become a sharper, more disciplined version of yourself. You aren't just trying to grow your balance, you're growing your character, inching closer to that $1 million goal by ensuring that when you finally reach it, you have the mental toughness required to keep it. The compounding mindset is the fundamental bridge between a hobbyist who gambles for the fleeting hit of excitement and a professional who trades for a sustainable living. It represents a radical shift in perspective, moving from the narrow, high-stress question of, how much can I make today, to the strategic, long-view question of, how much can I grow this capital over 1,000 disciplined trades? In the world of day trading, compounding is far more than just a mathematical formula. It is a profound psychological commitment to the philosophy that small, repeatable wins are vastly superior to rare, high-risk home runs. When you truly adopt this mindset, you stop viewing a 1% or 2% gain as insignificant or boring. Instead, you begin to see it as a vital, microscopic building block that, when left to accumulate undisturbed, creates a relentless exponential curve of wealth. This perspective acts as a powerful emotional stabilizer, effectively acting as an anchor during periods of market turbulence. It removes the desperate internal pressure to over-leverage your positions or force trades on slow, low-probability days because you possess an unshakable trust in your edge. You understand that your strategy, when applied consistently over time, is mathematically guaranteed to produce a positive expectancy. By prioritizing the absolute protection of your seed capital and allowing your realized profits to be systematically reinvested, you leverage the most powerful force in finance, the snowball effect. A trader with a compounding mindset understands a truth that most amateurs miss. The ultimate goal isn't to be right about any single market move or to catch a once-in-a-lifetime moon mission. Instead, the goal is to remain disciplined enough to stay in the arena long enough for the math of compounding to take over. This is the art of turning a modest account into a significant financial legacy through the sheer irresistible force of patience and persistence. It is about realizing that in the marathon of trading, the person who moves forward an inch every day will eventually lap the person who tries to jump a mile and falls flat on their face. Ultimately, the journey from $100 to $1 million isn't about market wizardry. It's about personal transformation. It's about showing up, being disciplined, learning, adapting, and respecting every dollar you put at risk. If you're ready to cultivate this $1 million mindset and build genuine wealth through conscious, disciplined trading, then you found your community right here. Don't let your starting capital define your potential. Let your mindset do that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for Risk Premium and join our mission to navigate the noise, cut through the hype, and trade with a professional edge. Let's build that future, one disciplined trade at a time. See you in the next video.